We're the travel agents coming to you with tips, tricks, interviews, and voyages by cruise. The travel agents bringing you the latest travel news.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Will.
We're your hosts for the Travel Agents Podcast. Will, how excited are you for today's episode?
I'm so excited. I love Cedar Point. It's it's a huge staple for us.
This is pretty different for us. We usually pick destinations like cities or areas or counties or states or countries.
Yeah.
We're picking an amusement park.
Yeah, first amusement park. Sorry, Disney. We're doing Cedar Point first. It's better anyway.
Yeah, no, I would much rather do Cedar Point. So I wonder how many people have heard of this.
Yeah, that's a good question. I remember watching a pretty popular show, and as punishment, the guy had to go and live in Sandusky. And the one thing was we have Cedar Point, and then he's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. So,
well, and I think most people probably have not heard of Sandusky.
Yeah.
If you're from this area, you know of Sandusky for one reason, and that's Cedar Point.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about location. First, let's talk about what it is.
Yeah.
It is an amusement park.
Yeah, it's a amusement park with a focus on roller coasters. It's not like a themed park like Disney World or Universal. It's kind of closer to Six Flags.
That is such a good point, and we'll talk about that in one of the points, but it's not it doesn't really do themes.
Yeah.
And having worked at Disney for a year, Disney's all about themes. And this is just gigantic roller coasters that are there to freak you out.
Mm-hmm.
And while you're waiting in line, you're just terrified. That's Cedar Point. And it's crazy, Will, because I was thinking, I assumed every amusement park was like Cedar Point. And it took me traveling around the States, even around the globe, visiting other amusement parks to realize we have something extremely special.
Yeah. The roller coaster capital of the world, right? Is that what they call it?
That's what it was. America's roller coaster, right?
Yeah,
and I was like, okay, I bet every place says that. But no, this is legit. People travel here from far away because they recognize this to be an epic park.
Absolutely. It's used to have the tallest roller coaster in the world with the top throw. Used to have the third tallest. That's changed, but it used to have those accolades.
We might even have some more stats because I know we have a couple guests today.
Yeah.
One of them whom I know likes stats.
Oh, no.
So I want to first introduce my brother-in-law, Brad. Brad, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Brian. It's great to be here and happy to be talking about a place I love very dearly.
Yeah. What's your history with Cedar Point?
My history with Cedar Point is I grew up about an hour away, and I had my mom and her parents, my grandparents, loved Cedar Point and would take an annual trip, taking my aunts and uncles and all of my cousins every year. And then we usually would go up a couple times a year with just my immediate family. So lots of memories of Cedar Point.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
And you are joined by your wife, my older sister, Megan. Welcome to the Travel Agents Podcast.
Thanks, Brian. I'm not that much older, though.
That's a great point.
Just a few years.
We're so excited to have you guys on the podcast.
So why did I ask these two to be our guests on the podcast? And that's because they love Cedar Point, and they're going to be coming at this with one, talking about the epic rides as well as what it looks like to be at Cedar Point with a family. Because that's definitely, there's going to be a market for that. Because Cedar Point, yes, it has gigantic roller coasters that are going to scare you, but it has a ton of family stuff. And we can't forget about all the great family stuff. So, Will, are you ready for our defining words?
Yeah, let's do it.
Here's 3 words to help you. Here's our defining words.
Our first defining word is big roller coasters. I think I can speak for everyone here. Cedar Point is very different when it comes to roller coasters. I kind of grew up not growing up, but one of the first theme parks I ever went to was Disney and Universal. And I had heard stories about how amazing these huge roller coasters were because I live an hour south from Akron. I grew up in a neighborhood about an hour south. So Cedar Point was always really far away for me. But when I first got the chance to go to Cedar Point, I was blown away by these roller coasters and how big they were. My 12-year-old brain was like, oh my gosh, this is the most amazing place ever. And they have a different class of roller coasters that aren't normally at theme parks. They're called Giga roller coasters. They're a specific class. They go higher, they go faster, and they go longer.
And they will make your 10-year-old self cry and be scared and run away and say, Dad, please don't make me, please don't make me, please don't make me. When was it, Will, that like you overcame your fear of roller coasters? Or did you have a fear? Or were you like, as a kid, just jumping on them?
I think my first big fear with roller coasters was going upside down. Like the corkscrew, I think it's called at Cedar Point, was like the first time I had ever gone completely upside down. And once I did that, I was like, oh, I can do anything now. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Megan, how about you? You grew up going to Cedar Point with our family. What's kind of your what do you remember?
Yeah, same thing as what Brad said, going with family. And that's what we did, Brian. We would go, our parents would bring us. We would go with youth groups. A lot. I remember several youth group trips to Cedar Point, and also just going with other families. It was a blast. And I remember, I'm going to just say 2 rides quickly, if that's okay. Yeah. The Mine Ride, which is a smaller roller coaster for younger children. I remember my dad talked me into going on that with him. I was probably 10, and I was so scared, but I did that, and it was so much fun. He said, oh, if you can do that, you can do the Magnum. Yeah. And that's not much bigger. It's not much bigger, Megan. It's not much bigger. So I was like on this high, like, oh, I just did it. I did the Mine Ride. And then the next one was the Magnum, which was quite a bit taller. I don't know stats, but it's quite a bit higher.
Significantly taller. Yeah.
It was probably one of the highest ones there at the point.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And so I did that, and it was a blast.
Yeah. All right. Second word is the fact that Cedar Point is on Lake Erie. So word number 2 is lake and lake views. I believe it is the prettiest amusement park as far as views go.
Sure.
Not of the people, surrounding views. Yeah. Because it's pretty great. I read something that at the top of Top Thrill Dragster, which might be the second tallest coaster in the world. Yeah. At the top of it on a clear day, you can see Canada. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but you can see super far across Lake Erie. And for being the dirtiest lake of the 5, of the 5 Great Lakes, it is a stunning view.
Yeah, and if you've never been to Lake Erie or one of the Great Lakes, it doesn't look like a lake. It looks like an ocean. So just kind of picture an amusement park on the coast of an ocean.
Brad, for those who aren't familiar with the area, think of Cleveland, think of Akron. Can you kind of give us a geography, like layout of where exactly Cedar Point is in relation to that?
Yeah, it's about an hour west of Cleveland, right on the lake. So right between Toledo and Cleveland, northern Ohio.
There you go. So if you're coming from Detroit, probably not that far of a drive.
Hey, there you go. Yeah.
And our last defining word is family. So Megan, would you be willing to just share a little bit about just like why we picked family as our third defining word?
Well, I think just like what we already said, we have memories going when we were young children. So we went with our families, and now here Brad and I we've been married for 16 years, and we have 5 children of our own, and we're bringing our kids. And so we have those memories of going with our family, so many years ago, and now we get to bring our families. And there's so many kids there. There's so many families. You'll see, different areas in the park set up with just kiddie rides.
Well, Megan, your kids range from 11 and younger. So I was like, why are you going to Cedar Point? Like when you first told me, really, I did think that, like, what are you going to do there? It's full of gigantic rides.
Right.
And it wasn't until going with you that I was like, oh, wow. Like I had never seen it before because I was just looking at the big rides.
Right. Of course. You would have no need to look at the little.
Right. We'll get into it in our next section, but there are whole lands like multiple lands within Cedar Point just geared for families. So tons to do.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Ready for our highs and lows?
Yeah, let's talk about those.
Sometimes things are good, sometimes they're bad too. It's highs, lows coming to you.
We'll hit him with our first one.
Oh, man. Okay, this is my favorite roller coaster in the world. Yeah, in the world. Millennium Force. This thing is so cool. I think it's like 350 feet is the high, and it goes like 95 miles an hour or something like that.
What year? Why is it called the Millenium Force?
I think it was officially opened in 1999.
I thought it was 2000.
I think it was just shy of 2000.
Right
Yeah, I don't think it actually came out.
But that was the whole idea, the Millennium.
Yeah. The Millennium was a big deal in 1999.
Well, it's 22 years old, but it's kind of holding its...
It's holding its own, yeah. It's, I think that's a claim for how amazing that coaster actually is. And I would say that it's usually the roller coaster with like the longest wait at Cedar Point, generally speaking, unless there's a new roller coaster or a fairly new roller coaster out.
There is. We'll get into it.
Yeah.
But I will say about the Millennium Force that makes it very cool is that it really... Well, one, it's kind of... On the left side, you have the lake right next to you. So beautiful views. Again, big fan of the views. But it gets you up that first hill very fast. It's not like the chain, like... No, it's like you're in a Tesla, like flying up it. And I once, on a hot summer day with my cousin, we both blacked out at the top.
Really?
We were dehydrated.
Okay, I believe that.
It was so hot.
Yeah.
And I mean, your adrenaline is running because you're about to go down this gigantic hill, right? And we both blacked out a little bit. We came to.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. Millennium is so cool.
Our second high is all the fun kids areas. Megan, can you share with us these areas? What are they about? The names of them?
Well, everything there for the kids, it's themed with the Peanuts characters. You know, Charlie Brown, Snoopy.
Yeah.
Whoever else there is. Linus, Sally, Lucy. I know them.
Impressive.
So they have three or four different areas. There's the Kitty Kingdom, which has been there for several years. Didn't you look? I mean, several decades.
Since the 1940s.
Wow. Okay.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Is that how old Peanuts is?
Our parents.
Yeah.
Time.
Yeah, that's crazy. I think that's older than Disney World, isn't it?
Disney World is 1966.
Yeah, Disneyland came first. I always forget about that.
Land was in the 40s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cedar Point actually was started in 1870 because I saw that when we were there last week.
Okay.
They had, in the year 2020, it was their 150 years.
That's right.
1870. Wow. That's amazing.
It stood the test of time.
Wow. Okay, so there's Planet Snoopy, there's Kitty Kingdom, Camp Snoopy, all really focused on the Peanuts characters. What is so great about it for kids? Are they able to see like the mascots? Are they seeing rides that are sort of themed about Snoopy and all that?
Yeah, and some of the rides are themed about Snoopy, but there's also like character meet and greets.
Okay, cool.
And,
yeah.
Yeah, just rides that even my daughter, who's 1.5, she was able to get on up through... You know, the adults can get on some of them too, but my oldest is 11.5 and she was able to ride on the backs of some of the rides too. And it was just fun. It's fun to see the little kids on these rides. And of course, you know, there's Brad and our older kids. They like to go off and do the roller coasters and, but just to see that everyone there can have fun, you know, the oldest to the youngest.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah. That's awesome.
Next high would be the fact that it's pretty close to Cleveland and Akron. Like, it's an hour 20 from us in Akron. It's like an hour for those in Cleveland. Like, all things considered, it's a great day trip, and you can totally do a day trip. Though they have a lot of hotels nearby. And actually, my next high is the fact that like they're really building up Sandusky and the surrounding area. Like, no. This is a destination. Don't just come here for the day.
Yeah.
We have lots of hotels and other cool stuff to do. They have a sports complex. Do they have a golf course? Maybe not.
They do.
They do.
They have Kalahari too.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, because one of the things is water parks, because being a seasonal location, Northeast Ohio, they have indoor water parks.
Yeah.
Brad, can you touch on, like, what's the one called? Is it called Castaway Bay?
Castaway Bay is Cedar Point's branded one, but then some of the other brands, like Great Wolf Lodge is there, and
that's right. Yeah.
Kalahari too.
Man, Great Wolf Lodge. I forgot about that place.
Did you ever go?
No, I've never been.
Yeah.
Another thing about Cedar Point, even if you are not flying from Cleveland or driving from Cleveland, you can actually drive from Detroit. It's just over 2 hours, about 2 hours and 3 minutes from Detroit to Cedar Point. So It's a good halfway point between Detroit and Cleveland.
Pretty sweet. Our next high is the fact that it's like relatively affordable for the entrance ticket. So we were looking at, I don't know, I think of Disney World a lot because we get this request as travel agents often, Disney World, Disneyland. I want to say single park tickets at Disney World range from like $129 to $139, and then park hoppers even additional.
Yeah.
The fact that just 4 days ago I got in for $55 is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And I know this is dating, but 6 years ago, we got a Groupon deal for $20 a piece. And so getting to ride some of the world's best coasters for that price is pretty, all things considered, it's pretty amazing for what you're getting.
Yeah, definitely.
Our next high is maybe my new favorite ride in the world. It's called Steel Vengeance. Brad, tell us the history of what this ride used to be and what just happened to it recently, please.
Steel Vengeance was built in the early 90s, and it was originally called, what is it, Brian?
The Mean Streak.
The Mean Streak. And boy, was it one mean ride.
Yeah.
It was the world's biggest, largest, fastest wooden roller coaster. And they didn't focus on the rider's comfort. And so the line was always short. So you knew you could go get on a big coaster, but you paid for it. They said it was every chiropractor's biggest, biggest referral source.
Sure.
So a few years ago, 2018, they converted it, and they actually put steel tracks on top of the wood and totally revamped the ride. And now it goes upside down, and
4 times.
4 times.
Wow.
And
I've never seen this. There's a leg harness, not just a lap harness. It holds your legs down against the back. Like if you put your feet down, got to push them all the way against the back.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, so you're strapped in there.
Plus the seat harness. Yeah.
Is it because you go on upside down 4 times?
Well, it's just insane.
Okay.
And so it gets crazier. So right as you're in line for an hour, before the ride, they have these lockers that you have to use. They're free.
Okay.
So they take you out of line one by one, and you go to a touch screen. There's multiple touch screens on a giant set of lockers. I'm not kidding. You have to touch your date of birth, and you pick a code, like a specific image you're going to remember. So, for example, I touched a star. I'll remember a star. Brad, you said you touched a tree. And then in that little locker, you put your wallet, your phone, your keys,
any valuables, any loose things,
anything.
Okay.
And then to ensure you did it, they send you through a metal detector.
Wow.
You're going through TSA.
Wow.
Yeah. And on the 6 people in front of us and the 2 people behind us, it beeped at every single one of us. It beeped at my belt because I had a metal belt. It beeped at something you had. It beeped at both your kids. It beeped at the people behind us. And they had to do an extra, like not pat down, but like the wand over your body. And then once they proved that you were totally empty pockets, like one guy had his phone with him, they made him go back to the locker, step out of line.
Yeah.
And then you can get on the ride. That's how serious this ride is.
Okay, was it worth it?
Yes, 100 times through. It was maybe the best ride. I think the best ride I've ever done.
Wow.
I cannot believe
Seriously.
how. Because, Brad, like one thing you were saying, like with rides like the Magnum and the Millenium Force, like the first drop is epic, but the rest of the ride, how is it?
Well, it's just sort of a nice ride. The big thrill's over.
Yeah.
And there may be a couple surprises here and there, but this ride, it's 2.5 minutes of, it's hard to explain. It never slows down. They say it's a 2.5 minute ride, but 30 seconds of it, you're getting airtime, meaning you're like coming out of your seat.
Yeah.
And so you really, it's just the whole time you're just kind of, I was screaming like a little kid having so much fun.
Yeah.
And also, if I'm honest, kind of freaked out too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was intense. The first hill is 90 degrees. It's straight down.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
There's no relaxing. There's no point where you catch your breath. You just keep get a good breath at the top hill because you're going.
That sounds amazing.
Well, I'm so excited for you to ride.
Yeah, I gotta go back.
It's worth going to Cedar Point just for that ride.
Yeah.
But it's at the very, very, very back of the park. The
Okay.
furthest most
Yeah, I remember where
back
Mean Streak
ride.
was. Yeah.
So
Wait, close to, is that Maverick?
yes. So glad you would say that. I would just say another cool high is the fact that there's classic rides as well as new rides. So classic rides, like Megan, what did Mom used to ride as Blue Streak? It was wasn't Blue Streak the tallest ride?
I don't know.
At Cedar,
But
well, at
I
Cedar
always
Point.
I get excited about it. Like, oh, let's do Blue Streak. And
Yeah.
kind of one of those chiropractic
Yeah, that's
moments
true.
too. But I was thinking of the cars, and I'm just blanking on what
Cadillac
are they called?
cars.
Cadillac cars, which were brought to the park a long time ago. You said that was your grandpa's favorite ride, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And
You
I don't
push the
know,
gas pedal and you go around the circle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing roller coastery about them, but just kind of
Yeah.
I don't know what the word is.
That's
Sentimental. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's sweet
Yeah.
to ride them.
Well, we got to be careful talking about rides because they will discontinue rides.
Yes.
Like-
Like Top Thrill.
Yeah. So it's true. They're really getting rid of it, huh? Because Brad, you
that's what
said
I
so.
heard,
Will, you
yeah.
said so.
That's what all the rumors are here in Ohio. And every time we've gone, it's been down. So it seems like
Okay.
they might be
So,
relieving that ride.
Top Thrill Dragster. If you don't know what we're talking about, go to YouTube and just search it because it was insane.
It was the tallest roller coaster in the world at one point. It's since lost that crown, but would go up 420 feet, something like that, and hit like 120 miles an hour. And it lasted like maybe 14 seconds.
11 seconds, I think.
Yeah,
it was.
something really, really short. It was basically you just shoot up really, really fast, go up this hill, and then come down. And then that was it. But it would always be like under maintenance. It was always breaking down. And I feel like every time we would go for the ride, the thing was like, oh, is it going to like bounce back? Like, are we actually going to make it up the hill? Because sometimes it wouldn't actually make it up the hill and you'd fall back to the start.
Did that ever happen to you, though?
No,
Me
and
neither.
I'm mad because I want to experience
You
it. I
kinda
feel like it
wanna
would make it more fun.
I wonder why that is. I wonder why it wouldn't.
Like,
Who knows?
Yeah, like it just didn't get enough like energy or something to push through. Yeah, it's
well,
weird.
what's crazy is it was, the tallest ride in the world. And then in New Jersey, that Six Flags Great Adventure built the Kingda Ka, which is the same exact ride as the Top Thrill Dragster, except it's green. They made it like 30 feet higher. And they added what I would say is a lame little hill at the end, which does nothing.
Yeah.
It does nothing. And the view, instead of being a gorgeous view of Lake Erie with this like sunset and potentially Canada, it's a view of New Jersey's
Jersey.
parking lot. Yeah. And so, or a giant parking lot. So it's like, I would just say, hands down, Top Thrill Dragster is way better. Yeah.
Definitely.
And then one other high is, Megan, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but in the family sections, there's like a parade. Did you ever see the parade? I guess there's a parade that goes in like June, July, and August. So maybe you wouldn't have seen it this season.
Yeah, we missed it this year, but
Peanuts
I
Parade.
believe it. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
They had different shows.
Go see Snoopy.
Peanuts characters would do shows and sing songs and stuff.
Woodstock. Is that the little
Yeah.
bird who hangs out with
Oh,
Snoopy?
yeah.
I think so.
It's the one we missed.
Man,
Okay.
my in-laws shout out to my in-laws there, but my
Aw.
in-laws love the Snoopy and
Yeah.
Peanuts characters.
It is kind of cool seeing them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about lows.
Yeah, so we kind of jumped the gun a little bit, but one of the big lows I feel like as a whole for Cedar Point is the fact that they are getting rid of Top Thrill.
Yeah. That is a big one. I have another one. Is the fact that they got rid of a ride called Disaster Transport. That was my favorite. It was the indoor roller coaster.
I don't remember that one. What was
On a
that?
super hot day, you would go in there and just cool off.
Get some
It was
reprieve.
it was the only like theme ride at Cedar Point, and the theme was very it was really poorly put together. No one understood the theme. It was supposed to be that you were launching for a mission.
Okay.
And when you got to the top of the hill, you hear this, oh no, something went drastically wrong. And then that's when the ride starts, and it's almost solely in the dark.
Okay.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't like the hill wasn't that big, but the fact that it was in the dark made it very scary.
That sounds
And at
cool.
the very end of the ride, it says, "Welcome to Alaska." So no one really understood the theme.
It was my favorite too.
It was so great, right?
I loved it.
So
When did they
you
get
could-
rid of it?
Probably 6 or 7 years ago.
Okay.
And you can watch a 15-minute YouTube video about the history of that ride on
Yeah.
I think it's called Defunctland.
Yeah, that guy's really
Yeah,
cool.
he is really good.
Yeah, you guys got to check out Defunctland on YouTube.
The next next low, is the rides going down So, Brad, can you tell us a little bit about like what it's like being at Cedar Point? You're so excited, and then you see that nasty sign that goes in front of the ride.
Yeah, you're all ready to. You've got your day planned out. We're going to do this coaster, and then later we'll hit the back of the park and do these, and then you get there and the coaster's down, and there's not always an explanation for why the coaster's down.
Yeah.
So that can be a little frustrating, but I will say that they have an app now that you can use when you're in the park, and it does show you the wait times and if a ride's down. So it saves some of the walking around and wasted time that way, at least.
Nice. Yeah, you always almost have to play that game. Like if you're really close to getting on the coaster and it goes down, it's like, do we wait?
Yeah.
Do we leave the line? Like, what do we do?
Oof.
It's always a wager. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the lake effect, right?
Yeah. It's always
Blessing and a curse.
The wind definitely comes into play. But to that point, you kind of wager, whether or not you jump out of line when it goes down, because the wait times can be really high when in the peak season. I mean, sometimes you're waiting 3 hours for Millennium. I'm sure the line for Steel Vengeance in the summer was insane.
Well, in October, when it's definitely shoulder season, not busy, we waited an hour, and that was like, it wasn't going to get any better. So we were like, all right, let's just do it.
That sounds crazy.
What's the longest you've all ever waited for a ride? Do you remember?
Ooh.
I think I've waited 2.5, 3 hours in
same.
summer.
Yeah.
When Millenium Force was brand new. I wouldn't wait that long now, but that's probably the longest I've done.
Brad,
Same.
Our kids are getting spoiled though, because we've brought them during these colder months. And so they're able to just like get right on these rides. They're going to hate it in the summer.
They have no idea what we've suffered through all those years.
Funny.
Next would be our next low. We have 3 more lows. Would be price of the food. It is for being a relatively affordable entry ticket. The food is pretty absurd. Any idea of cost that Megan and Brad you can give us as far as like a good lunch would be?
Well, we were just there, and just a standard chicken tenders and fries platter with really only 3 small chicken tenders I think it was like $16.
Sure.
So they have added some restaurants, which is nice.
Yeah.
We haven't eaten at any of those, but it's nice to see they've at least added some more finer dining rather than chicken tenders for every meal.
I saw that restaurant Melt.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Also
grilled cheese sandwiches.
Yeah. Wow, that's pretty.
Yeah.
Okay. Represent.
And near Camp Snoopy, they had a barbecue place that smelled so good. I couldn't even stay any longer with you at Camp Snoopy because I wanted that so badly.
It did.
Ooh.
You're right. It did smell good.
We would always go to Subway before we go to Cedar Point and just like pack our cooler full of Subway sandwiches and walk out to the car for lunch. Did you guys ever do that?
There used to be a pavilion that you could walk to, but no, never back to the car. That's way too far.
Oh my gosh.
Sometimes if you have a sister that has babies in a stroller, you can put food underneath it and get away with it, and they don't look.
Nice.
I wouldn't know that.
Just a couple snack bags.
There you go.
Hey, there you go. Snack
You
packs
can't be
rule.
spending $12 on a snack pack every time a kid wants a...
Yeah, they don't search the bags super close, so you could sneak in a couple sandwiches or something in your backpack.
The next low, though maybe a high, I'm not sure. I think it's a low, is the dynamic cost feature. So actually, is this true that the price changes? Yeah, based on the day. If it's a busier day or a slow day, the price of entry will change. I know that's true for the Fast Pass.
I believe so, but I'm not 100% on that.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, we can definitely see it for the Fast Pass, which we'll get into in our next section. Last high.
Let's talk about the Fast Pass now. I mean, we brought it up, and we're talking about dynamic costs.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
And someone in season 1 said, hey, Brian, when you guys bring something up, don't say, we'll talk about it in our next section. Just talk about
That's
it.
exactly why I brought it up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, we're learning. So listeners out there, we listen to you. The Fast Pass is a price you pay to jump to the front of every line.
Yeah, pretty common with popular theme parks.
Sure.
Yeah.
But what makes Cedar Point unique is that it's a dynamic price. This we're for sure on.
Yes.
So on a summer day in July,
you're paying premium.
Exactly. Like we were just there in October, and the ticket was $50. The fast pass was $60. Brad, does that sound right? Or $70?
I think it was $100.
Oh, $100. Okay, gotcha. In July, it's not going to be $100. It's going to be like $200, maybe more, maybe
Correct.
less. I don't know.
Correct.
So that's kind of an interesting aspect here.
Yeah, I mean, if you're coming into Cedar Point from out of state, really, I would say the fast pass is worth it for a lot of the rides. Generally speaking, it'll be worth it.
Well, if you're going to be there for 2 or 3 days, like make a weekend out of it, you don't need it.
That's true.
But
That's a good point.
If you're driving all that way for one day, and just go for it.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about our tips. Or no, we still have we have one more low, right?
It's not open year round. Walt Disney chose Orlando, Florida because he knew this is a place I can get profit year round. Yeah.
When does it close? Do we know? It's November, right?
November 1st, I think. It opens back up in April or May? Probably May.
Yeah, usually right at the beginning of May.
Memorial Day?
No, before Memorial Day,
okay.
early May.
Okay. Yeah. So like kind of a half a year of downtime.
Yeah, just a half year of no one riding the rides. Get a lot of cobwebs that they don't clean.
That's what happened at Top Thrill. All right, let's talk about tips.
Tips from the travel agents.
If you're big into haunted houses, Halloween, spooky season, the works, Cedar Point does something really cool during October. It's called Hollow Weekends, where they turn Cedar Point into basically just a big old haunted house and a big old festival to Halloween, and can be really cool. And it is kid friendly for a lot of the areas, right? There are some sections where it's like all foggy, and there might be people like running across like the routes and stuff, but not too scary, right?
Yeah, it wasn't too scary. I thought that they were more like in some of the indoor areas you would go in for a haunted house.
Yeah.
And those freak me out, so we stayed away from them. I think I did those as a teenager and had some panic attacks.
Megan, what kid friendly stuff is available during Hollow Weekends?
Yeah, so in the different camp areas or in the different child areas, I think it was Camp Snoopy, they had trick-or-treating. So there were about 10 different stations. Kids could get a bag and go around to the stations and get candy. And at the end, they got to pick out a little pumpkin. And that was all free.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And you got a little bucket to put the candy in too, right? Was that free?
Yeah, little bag, I think.
Little bag. Sure. Hollow Weekends. My next tip is zipper pockets on the rides. Yeah. When it comes to travel, I'm a big fan of pockets with zippers.
Yeah.
That was in our season 1 finale.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. People even commented, Brian, I'm traveling with my jacket that has zipper pockets. I was like, all right.
Get those soccer pants on,
Well, here's the thing. When it comes to riding these epic rides that throw you up out of your seat, flip you, drop you, all that kind of stuff, spin you for sure, even though maybe your stuff is secure in your pockets, it's a weird mental thing where you don't feel like it is. Mm-hmm. Even if you wear pretty tight slim jeans like me, you just think your phone's going to fly out.
Yeah.
Your keys, your wallet's going to fly out.
Yeah.
And that's a really uncomfortable feeling. You cannot enjoy the ride.
Okay.
If you have pockets with a zipper, put it in there,
Peace of mind.
And you can just enjoy the ride.
Have you guys ever lost anything or broke anything while on a ride at Cedar Point?
Just my phone to the lake beneath the Batman ride.
Nice. We're like,
nice.
reference.
Okay.
Nice.
No, I haven't. I had a hat fly off on a really little kiddie roller coaster at a different park.
Okay.
But
Sure.
not at Cedar Point.
I remember friends losing hats.
Hats.
On roller
So
coasters.
common. Yeah, so common. I've only broken my glasses once. I had these sports glasses that were specifically designed to not be broken because I played a lot of sports in high school. And I rode the Top Thrill and I had to put them in my pocket, and Top Thrill broke my glasses.
Oh.
Yeah. Still worth it.
Still worth it. Next tip is just bringing food into the park, which is not welcome, but the food is so expensive. So
You can smuggle it
this
in.
weird.
Just bring a baby stroller.
Have a stroller. Yeah. Next tip: everything is included with the price of your admission, except for a few things. So let's just talk about the things that are not included with your admission.
Yeah.
Number one is slingshot. Brad, can you explain what slingshot is?
Yeah, it's a slingshot that is for humans.
Yeah.
So they strap you in a chair, and it really does look like a slingshot apparatus, and they shoot you straight up into the air.
Only 2 people can do this right at a time.
That's right. Okay.
Correct.
So do you know what the cost? You know what the cost was?
I thought it was like $19.
Yeah,
Is it
it's
that low?
Really cheap.
I thought it was really
Like,
expensive.
inflation
Okay,
Really
maybe
that
I'm
low?
wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I sat there at one time when we were waiting for the, older kids to get off of a ride. The little ones and I sat and watched several people do the slingshot. So I don't know. The
Shoot,
price
man.
was right in front of me, but I thought it was $19. I might be wrong.
That's not bad.
So the slingshot is that like if you can almost picture like I don't know, even like arch almost, and they pull you down just like a slingshot and let you go, and you're going like really high up there, like really high up
And
there.
some people flipped. Like
Yeah.
they
Oh
don't
my
know.
gosh.
Some people would go upside down, and
Oh, cool.
Would you do it? Have you ever done it? Either of you guys?
no, I have not.
I would do it.
I would do it too.
I think I'll do it.
We could easily pressure you into it, Brad.
It's very true.
Gosh. Oh, I have another tip I'm going to throw in. Don't
Yeah.
let your brother-in-law pressure you into doing the power tower going down.
Love I would do the power tower.
We'll
with you.
explain what the power tower is.
Wait, going up or down? There's a difference.
Yeah.
Totally a difference.
I like both. I'd do
Oh,
both.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd do both. The power tower, how do you explain the power tower? Okay, so if you've heard articles about people getting injured or cables snapping and limbs being amputated, those are power towers. But basically what it does is it takes you, from ground level to, I don't know, a few hundred feet in the air pretty immediately, and then you kind of slowly descend or slowly move up, right? For the reverse.
Yeah, exactly. It was a ride built in 1998, and it still freaks me out maybe more than any other ride. The going down. It's like kind of like the Eiffel Tower has 4 legs, right?
Yeah.
One of the legs you can walk the steps up. The other leg you can do the elevator up. Well, this one, 4 legs, 2 of them shoot you up, 2 of them shoot you down, and the down one is the one.
Is the one that gets you?
Oh,
Because it feels like you're falling.
well, it's more than that.
Yeah.
They
Okay.
get you to the top eerily slowly, but also kind of quick. It's kind of a paradox. Then you're up there and you're overlooking the gorgeous Lake Erie, and you don't know when they're going to send you
You're on edge.
to your plummeting.
I love it.
And then it's sort of like a yo-yo, right? You go down and then you kind of bounce back up
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
slowly go back.
And this is when you lean over to the person next to you and say, "Oh, your harness is undone."
That's awesome. I do want to circle back real quick to things not being included with the price of admission, because the water park is a separate cost, right? You don't get access to the water park with your
Unless
typical-
you have the season pass.
unless you have the season pass. Okay, Brian.
And that's one of my tips with the season pass. Like many amusement parks, they price it so that even if you only go twice, it's a good value. And then if you're going with kids, something that's really cool is with an adult pass, you can get a free pass for your kid from age 2 to 5. So we have 2
Wow.
in that age group.
Oh.
So we were able to get those 2 season passes for free.
That's
So,
amazing.
Yeah, it
And
made
then
it.
really
a
cool.
1-year-old was free, right?
Yeah, and then the
So-
under 2 is
So
free.
3 of your kids were free.
So
Yeah.
3 were free.
So they do.
Yeah,
some
you
You're
nice-
had-
basically paying us.
You
to come,
had.
right?
That's awesome.
You had to get it. You didn't have a choice. Okay, next.
Well, this is
one
a
of-
big one.
Well, it's one of Kristen's tips.
Yeah.
Run to the back of the park first and start there, and you work your way back to the front.
Yep. That's where
Because
all the big roller coasters
all the
are.
losers go right to the Raptor right away,
Yep.
which is a great ride. Don't get me wrong,
It is, yeah.
but it's right at the beginning of the park.
Mm-hmm.
So
How you
run to
warm
the
up.
back.
Mm-hmm.
No one's there yet. I don't know. I don't think I ever did that, but I like the idea of it. I was always the sucker who went to Valraven or Raptor first or Demon Drop. Demon Drop's no longer there, and I waited way too long for the ride.
Yeah, it's a great idea in theory.
Sure.
I'd like to see Kristen pull it off. She do it?
Yeah, we've done it before together a few times. When we were in college.
Did it work?
Yeah, you go like immediately to the back. You could ride Maverick, Mean Streak, but now it's Steel Vengeance, as well as Magnum, and I think Millennium is like kind of on the way back a little bit. So you get to see some really big roller coasters without the long lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next is the app. So like many amusement parks and travel destinations, it's all about the app.
Heck yeah.
If you don't have the app, you're a step behind.
Yep. So what does the app do? It tells us the wait times. It tells us if the ride's closed.
Free. Your season passes are in there. You can buy tickets, so you don't have to wait in line at the ticket line, even if you're buying single day tickets.
Okay.
And it tells you all about the rides and how tall you have to be and the thrill level.
Nice. Okay, so it does tell you. Okay, that's really nice.
Does it give you a map too of just like where food is and where?
How many minutes walk each ride is from where you are?
Ooh, okay.
Next tip: take a picture of your parking space with your iPhone.
Have you gotten lost before?
Oh, the parking. Oh, it was just when I worked at Disney and I worked in the parking lot.
Yeah.
We always told people because when you're at Disney all day or Cedar Point. And you got all the little kids, and there's whining, and there's snacks, and people are hot, and you're like flustered, just trying to make sure you have all the right bags, etc. Maybe the last thing you think of is that you parked in C28.
Yeah, that's like an in general like travel tip. Like take a picture where you parked for the airport, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's a good
moment
travel
you got
tip.
your car. Look, just take a picture.
Yeah.
It's a great tip.
Mm-hmm.
Last tip, POV rides on YouTube. This is something I learned and I've gotten I had a lot of fun with my nieces and nephews, Megan and Brad, your kids. We go on YouTube and we type in any ride at Cedar Point and the letters POV, which means point of view. And all the rides are posted from the front row and it's like you're riding the ride in high definition and you can do this for roller coasters around the world, which is pretty cool. I feel like I've ridden roller coasters in Japan and China. It's pretty cool.
Nice. I think that's all our tips, right?
That's all.
Do we have any more? Okay, let's go into our standby items.
It's safety and other info with standby items. Here we go.
First standby item is parking. So what's parking cost? Do you two have any idea?
It's 20 or 25, but again, plug for the season pass. It's free with that.
Nice. Okay. Wow. You're saving a lot of money with the season pass.
Yeah. That was kind of our next standby item, the season pass, just how you get a lot of cool stuff. Do you get a discount with the food too?
10% off, I believe.
Very cool.
Wow. Man, it's like almost a no-brainer.
And then Megan and Brad, do you have any plans to take your kids to the water park maybe this winter as it gets a little cooler?
I don't know about the winter, but we're definitely going to go to the water park this coming, next spring and summer.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice.
Is it like, it's pretty like medium-sized water park, right?
It pretty good-sized water slides.
Okay.
I haven't been to like the Disney water park, so I don't have much to compare it to. But
it's not the Cedar Point of water slides, but
no. Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay, cool. It's a nice little companion to the park.
It seems impressive, yeah. Let's talk about safety. So like Megan, when we leave you to go ride rides, you have little kids in the areas. How do you feel safety wise? Have you noticed security? What's that like?
It feels safe. I've never been, I've never felt scared or threatened by anything. Always, just use common sense, keep my kids nearby.
Right.
Keep them, within visual.
Nice.
I know a lot of people are probably going to ask about like lockers and stuff.
Oh yeah, good point.
So as far as lockers go, there
There's
are like
usually lockers by like the really popular rides: Millennium, Top Thrill, Maverick, Steel Vengeance, apparently.
Exactly. But right at the front of the park, when you walk in by this ride called Ocean Motion, which is right on the right, there are lockers. And one thing about Cedar Point is, I just learned this recently, is that they are going all cashless. So don't bring cash. They want credit card for everything, even including like lockers and stuff like that. They don't even do coins or cash for the lockers. And you can rent things like strollers and wheelchairs and things like that right at the entrance.
Nice.
So
Okay.
very nice.
Yeah, that is really nice.
Yeah.
Well,
Cedar Point.
Yeah. I think
What do you
that's,
think?
I think that's our Cedar Point episode. Yeah.
Any last thoughts about Cedar Point that you wanted to say or share? Brad, we'll go with you first.
Yeah, it's just a great place. It's a great way to just honestly escape. When you get on those rides, you can't help but you can't think of anything else. You're just having fun with whoever's doing it with you. And there's such an experience when you get off the ride, seeing your kids or your family or your friends smiling and talking about your favorite part and seeing somebody who maybe, with my kids, watching them overcome a fear or something. There's just something so special about it. It's just sort of a nice break from reality.
That's really cool. Yeah.
Megan, how about you?
Well, that was awesome. And I was just thinking more practically, if you are two parents going together with children and you both want to do the rides, but somebody has to stay with little kids, there's something called parent swap. So you mentioned guest services at the beginning of the park. You can just go there and get this parent swap. I don't know, maybe it's a wristband or something. And that way one parent waits in line, gets to do the ride, and then you swap. So then the other parent can go and they don't have to wait in line again. So it's a cool idea.
Cool.
Yeah.
That is a cool idea.
If I'm a little bit more brave next time I go, I might do that.
Yeah.
Get to ride some of these roller coasters too.
Megan, you used to ride all the coasters.
I know, and then
you
I
were
started
the
getting
most brave.
dizzy and headachy, but I don't know. Maybe it's worth
You're
it.
a mom, and
Yeah.
you get to see through your kids' eyes.
That's what Brad said. That has been really exciting.
So I want to share one thing, and that is you are going to be doing a lot of waiting in line at Cedar Point. That actually is going to be the majority of your day, just waiting. And so if I were you, I'm not going to give you any great tips, but I would just Google, like, what can I do while I'm waiting in line? Or games or waiting in line. I know a lot of people are playing the game like Heads Up, on their iPhones. Mm-hmm. Brad, you guys used to play. What was it?
We would play euchre in line.
Really?
It's kind of hard. You need somebody to kind of hold the cards. Yeah.
Bring a deck of cards. Yeah, exactly. So
Inventive.
you just remember, you're going to be waiting in line for a significant amount of time.
Definitely.
Make
During
sure
the peak season,
you
at
have
least.
a plan.
Yeah.
Will, anything for you?
No, I think we covered it. Brad?
Megan? Will?
Going
Brian?
once, going twice?
Thanks so much for being on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks,
you two.
guys. Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah. Just to close out the show, just a few housekeeping items. We've just released our website. So if you want to leave any feedback, send us a question, send us some advice, send us hate mail, whatever you want to send us. We would love it. We welcome it. So you can check out our website, or you can just email us. We're open to anything you guys want to say, any feedback that you have. We want to hear it.
And just very excited to have some collaborations with some other podcasters in the future here.
Yes, we got some stuff in the works. We're very excited. Yeah.
Very excited.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, everyone.
We're the travel agents, that's the end of our show. Make sure to comment and subscribe.